I'd say their culture is changing very quickly because the generations have experienced very different things. Um, Many of the old people will say, "Oh, they don't know what it's like," and then even some of the middle-aged people will say, "The very young people don't know what it's like. They don't know what it's like living in a country that wasn't part of the European Union." Despite that, there are some very interesting cultural tips, cultural things, which probably older people would hold more than others. For example, our MTC teachers taught us very quickly that you don't shake hands over a doorstep. That's I don't know how much we might say it's a superstition or something, but it just becomes kind of a cultural thing that you get used to. Um, they don't set things on the ground. It sounds strange to call it a superstition because you as a missionary probably will get used to it very quickly. Um, Even as I was greeted here today, and as someone was leaving, I still found it strange that they kind of shook hands over the threshold. So there are a few weird things that you'll pick up like that. But as far as getting to know the people now, I think if you understand that they value sincerity in a different way than we do, or I'd say that they value it more than us. For example, in English class, I was asking them to list some adjectives to put down that they could describe like a good person. And sincere was one of the very first ones that they put up there. So they value it themselves, and it's something that I noticed my very first day. We were knocking on some doors, and yeah, the very first door we knocked on, because it was the top left one. He looked at us and he talked with us, but he was very. To me, it surprised me how much he pondered and thought about it. And then the thing which really stood out in my mind was he held the Book of Mormon, trying to figure out whether he would accept it or not. I explained to him that he could have it for free. We'd like to come back and talk to him about it. I think he asked whether it was free. I don't. I might be making some of this conversation up because I don't remember how much I understood, but I remember him sitting there holding that book for probably 30 seconds. It felt like a minute. He was just trying to decide whether to accept it. So I was very impressed how sincere these people are. They don't seem to put on another face for you. For example, I've been out with missionaries in the U.S. in my home city, and we would go to some just around the place. And when walking down the street, Americans may cross the street and go to the other side. That rarely happened to me on my mission. They'll walk to you, and if they don't want to talk to you, they'll tell you they don't want to talk to you. They're not going to avoid you or cross to the other street. I mean, that happened maybe once or twice. Nor will they pretend to be on their phone. Sometimes when I thought they would, I'd look back and they still were on their phone actually talking to someone. They don't try to pretend to avoid you. They don't seem to have too many false selves. That was kind of a cultural shock, but something that I think really marks their culture. I guess they have lots of traditions. They may not, I can't quite name them or whatever. These traditions may be just their idea of Catholicism or things that they hold dear, like their family. But the word tradition, I feel, for them applies to more things than we would think. So I think they tend to value that and use that word more often, which is kind of interesting. They really do celebrate the entire Easter week. For example, they have Palm Sunday. Everyone will get on the trolley buses with their palms, but it's not a tropical country, so they're like fir branches or something. So I was a little confused at first until they explained to me that they were palms. Oh, okay. It's Palm Sunday. I got it. But yeah, those kinds of traditions pop up. Some are surprising. For example, you get on the bus the day after Easter and realize that they have 2 Easters. So there aren't as many people on the streets. Not just one day for Easter, but another day, which is kind of cool. They also have 2 Christmases, a first day and a second day. Supposedly the first day is for your immediate family, and the second day is for your extended family, where you'd go travel and meet them, which I guess is actually possible in such a small country. You can actually go visit your extended relatives in a day. So most of the unique traditions are probably related to Catholicism or paganism, for example. One of the biggest holidays, one that you probably won't really celebrate as a missionary. They go out to the woods and they stay up the entire night and and they like jump over bonfires. So that's probably not one you'll participate in as a missionary, especially because they like to drink a lot for that one. But most of their traditions are either associated with paganism or Catholicism. So that was pretty interesting. I expected them to be a little bit more reserved, and I thought that maybe I shouldn't be quite as assertive, but they really will. Or I guess I was a little afraid to interrupt people, but let's see, it wasn't as rude to just kind of talk and kind of get your point across, because they'd appreciate that. They want they're talking to you. I kind of expected them to maybe get offended by that, but it's just like English. You can talk when you want to talk,